ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to the penultimate episode of Exploring Freedonia 2022, Season 4, all of it. Well, I guess it's not 2022 anymore, but you get the point. Just get it out of the way. The grand opening for Project Moon is on the 7th. In fact, work has officially been completed as of last night. So, on the 7th, I'm going to be hosting a live stream, where it's going to be a very informal event. I'm not going to be doing like a big speech or anything, at least I'm not planning one. But essentially I'll be going through, cutting the metaphorical red ribbon and saying, hey, y'all can come work on some houses now. And because I know a lot of people are really excited, and obviously we just got an XP farm upgrade, which I don't think any of you guys have really heard about, but it is now, it's not quite like Newport, but it's of that design and a good alternative to it. And so in the meantime, while the UTC, who I've talked about before, have been hauling ass getting the housing done, I've been turning my work elsewhere. So right now, I want to show you what I've been up to after that for the last while. Because I have more or less been building up a bunch of islands around Project Moon. In an area collectively known as Luna Bay, and I guess you could say this is kind of my new style going forward. I got shaders, I got ambience. I really wanted to spruce up the world, and after I found this wonderful shader that not only runs great, but is easily my favorite to look at so far, it's so clear that I can literally just play MCO with it on, and not have to turn it off for building and stuff, which is something I had to do for BSL just because the noise got so... Well, the visuals just got so noisy or soft or blurry or whatever. What is going to be kind of like my final Eastern outpost, I think. But it is not in the, Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Now that we're back from that little crash, I wanted to explain to you how exactly this is working. So, yeah. More or less, we are in a region now called Luna Bay, which is a subset of Vizurva. Vizurva being this western region of the world that originally Haruto set up, but I kind of tried to more better define in this recent project I had called the Map of Freedonia. Actually, I can pull it up real quick. This little beautiful thing right here. So, originally Vizurva was a lot more weirdly shaped, but this is kind of where I've drawn it. And we are sitting about right here, and this is Luna Bay. Pretty much this whole area. At least by my definition of it. So going from there, you can see we're getting signs. We're finally about to approach the Project Moon greater region. And we should be coming right up upon Eastport, which is one of the two new settlements I've created along the outreaches of Luna Bay. There were many islands, but this is the first one I want to show off. A lot of this is just what I was doing in December. So just getting out real quick, you can see, like, this was not a very big island that I had to work with. But... we got the Hazy Hammer Blacksmith. I basically, I pretty much pulled an archipelago for all of these where I just terraformed the hell out of the islands. And then I built them all the way up. And for being as small as this is, I think it's pretty well sized. Of course, we got the Crooked Stern, Eastport City Hall, which I believe it was actually Jimmy Hendricks who built the interior of. Mostly because I was just so burnt out again by this point. And he worked on that while I worked on that. And of course, if we go back here, we can see the first of the 3 Luna Bay lighthouses. This one, of course, is Eastport Lighthouse. And it has a full interior. I'll probably show off one of them, but for the sake of brevity, let's just keep the roll going. We got a dock that goes all the way around the city, because it is a full-on island. I'm going to go ahead and take this other boat. If we just keep heading west, then I'm going to be able to introduce you to something else exciting. So not only do all these locations have, like, full builds and stuff, each of them already has a wiki page with a shit ton of lore that kind of feed into the broader Project Moon. And this one over here is actually one of the more important ones. Not the site itself, but the people that live here. This is Outpost Recovery. So, kind of getting into the backstory a little bit, Outpost Recovery, well, actually Project Recovery, was an initiative that Scarco72, my character, created as he found the ruins of Project Moon. Some of those early people he worked with formed together a team where they would work together in trying to hunt down locations and artifacts like integral to the history of Project Moon. And if you haven't seen that, the Legend of Moon wiki page has been completely rewritten. It is a pretty long read, but it'll give you full insight into the backstory and the history and the very complicated war that took place in Project Moon and led to its destruction before I had completely rebuilt it from the ground up. But what I really want to show you is over here. This is the map of the region. Oh, sorry, not over here. Over here. Let's go ahead and open all that up. Luna Bay. So obviously, map markers coming in future update. Unfortunately, you cannot use banner markers in this version, which I thought you could, and that sucks. So, unfortunately, yeah, that's coming in a future update, but you can kind of see, there's Eastport, there's this, there's some islands along the north, that's a city we're going to over there, and there's another island down there. So, unfortunately, this is the one problem I have with the shader pack, is it makes maps and item frames, like, really dark and difficult to see. But I have created sorry about the wither noises, I think it's epic. But I have created a bigger map where you can just straight up see everything. So obviously not all of these are Project Moon related, but a lot of what's up here is. So this is Eastport that we were just at, and this is Outpost Recovery. We're going to fly down by Recovery 1. Over here is Northport. We have the North Shore Outpost, Edgewater Lighthouse, and the Western Waters Offsite Cellar. We also have the City of Moon Ruins, but this is a future build, as well as up here in the Artemis Ruins, which are, you know, part of the region, important locations, but they're being pushed back for either future updates or just other work. So not completely done, but this kind of gives you an idea of at least how Project Moon defines Luna Bay and the broader Reserva region, because it doesn't exactly quite line up with how Haruto originally intended it. But the way I see it, it's just two different people's definition of the region. And they do coexist pretty peacefully. But anyway, obviously, since I've shown you the map, I'm not afraid to zoom out and show you everything now. Recovery 1 is kind of a new island, so I'll probably show that last, and we'll just go around counterclockwise. But we're going to go ahead and head off to the Western Waters Offsite Cellar. Now, not all these locations are very big, but they really help fill out the region of Luna Bay, and also just introduced more lore to the region. It's kind of like this idea that Project Moon is like this giant central part, but there's all these like little outlets and connected locations that have smaller stories, smaller bits of lore that contribute to the overall piece. I've also managed to implement like one I didn't realize was one of my favorite types of builds, or like structures for a build. It's just islands. I love archipelagos, and although, you know, obviously we have the archipelago, it's not quite the same as having to get on a boat and just, you know, boat over to the next one. And I like that these are all around Project Moon, so you can also boat to the big city and not have to worry about all this stuff. So let's get out of this water real quick. And obviously it's a very small one. This is called the Way House, which is essentially for the Western Water Shipping Co. merchants. Oh my god, epic. I'm just going to do what's called a pro gamer move and just do that. Awesome. Okay. And then obviously down here we have a little cellar. It's not stupendously big, but it holds enough reserves so that if in case normal shipping lines get delayed, they can stop by here and continue their routes all the way up north. And of course, even in Phoenix Isles, we have the Western Waters headquarters. And something I will happily show you in a little bit. We're working on the Western Waters Winery right now. That is my current project. That and the Shipping Distribution Center, which is an island just next to it. And you know what? I actually, for shits and giggles, I'll show you those after this, because obviously after this, it's only going to be, we're moving on to Season 5 very shortly. So I am excited. I am so excited. But head back towards this way, and we're going to be seeing the Edgewater Lighthouse, which is a similar design. It includes a different palette, which is a theme you're going to see for the third lighthouse too, because designing this lighthouse took quite a while, and honestly, I didn't want to have to design 3 separate lighthouses, all of the same design, like all this roughly the same size and shape, but different designs. So I kind of just swapped out the palettes. And besides, it's a good looking lighthouse too. So obviously, it's a very small lighthouse. Might as well show you the interior here. All the interiors are pretty much identical. And this is kind of the top floor. You can't actually get to the top, but that's just because of how crowded it is up there. And there really isn't any room for walking around. Let's go ahead and close that. Where's my boat at? Heading more like southwest, we're going to come across right here the North Shore Watchtower, or I'm trying to remember exactly what it's called. I think it's the North Shore Outpost. And essentially it's just a watchtower that looks over the entire northern waters of Luna Bay region. Now, because of MCO's render distance, you can't properly get a feel for that. But if like in realistically, like if you turn on /render or you actually look, a lot of this region is pretty observable from this one location. And in that sense, I thought it made a lot of sense to just have one big watchtower looking over everything. So the second something goes haywire, they can send out ships and go take care of it. So this was, again, a completely original design. Clear view of the water, if only the render distance was higher. But I'm actually very proud of how this turned out. At first, I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep these parts right here, but I do feel like they ultimately were a good inclusion. So now we're going to go ahead and keep heading southwest. It's a little separate docking island for extra boats. I believe this is where we are heading right here. It's roughly 600 meters southwest. This is Northport, which was the first city, the first of these big projects that I worked on. And although it's not as vertical as Eastport, I do really like it. For those of you who are curious, Eastport and Northport are not parodies of Newport. They are actually named after real-life cities in a region of Michigan I am very fond of. And in that sense, I'm actually naming my contribution city to Navarro and Dubina as a whole off of another city in that region called Sutton's Bay. So here we're going to stop by the lighthouse, it looks like. Oh, that's right, there's a giant chunk of land right there. I got to go around it. This place was the foundation for this architecture, which I then later repurposed for Eastport, because, you know, it's kind of like a neighboring settlement. And it's just kind of this really small town on the edge of this mainland. So I actually didn't have a lot of space to build this town, because obviously there's this farmland right here, and right here is 44 towns. So I really kept it along the edge of the peninsula. But I did have plenty of room at the end of the day, and I've created this very tight, very cozy little building architecture. So like right here is the town hall. Oops, I'm used to Eastport. The staircase is over here. This is the upper floor, is like the meeting room. And then back here we also have a little boathouse, which is kind of like a successor to my boathouse in Oakport, I think it is, or Oakwood. I think it's like Oaktown. That's what it is, Oaktown. It's a much better shaped, slimmer design, and I'm going to try not to just reuse this design over and over again. I do really like how it turned out. Of course, over here we have a bridge out towards the lighthouse. Here are the docks. This is the exit point. It kind of reminds me of like the junctions when you're leaving a Pokemon city. But and this is going to be the start of a thing called the Mawu Highway, which ultimately its goal is to connect this town up to 44 Town, which hasn't connected to anything. Didn't even have a wiki page for a while. It's going to connect up to here more than likely, Haffenburg. It's going to scroll all the way through this valley, across this area that I got permission from Baladin Hayachi to build on, because he doesn't intend on using it anytime soon. He kind of just gave it to me. And we're going to connect all the way up to the La Severina, which I know isn't a very well respected town, but it'll help kind of connect Moon up, or at least the Luna Bay, up to this hyper-metropolitan area over here around Lake Killane. So, who knows, maybe eventually I'll build a highway, or I guess it kind of already goes here. I gotta connect up the gateway at some point. I feel like I'm really starting to do some really good world building with Luna Bay and Project Moon. Like, it's really helping flesh out the region in a way that I'm really excited for. So obviously Eastport is just off the shoreline of the archipelago. If you haven't seen the trailer for the grand opening, I really suggest it. Man, this stuff's from 2019, but it is aged so well. I guess we're going to just kind of co-opt onto the boat route here. There is the Moon House. We got the Monument of Heroes. Some people like to call it the booty statue. We can just continue under this bridge, which, God, that design is aged so well too. It's so basic and palette, but it's aged so well. And obviously over here we have the harbor, which could use a little bit of greenery love, but I still think looks okay. I'm curious if I want to go all the way down south to the Luna Bay. Probably not. This area is currently just torched up, but essentially, if you couldn't get the idea, it's just going to be taking a bunch of like the old Project Moon stuff and just building a bunch of ruins underwater, which I might wait for the update so we can have more seamless like stuff with Update Aquatic, but I'm not too rushed on it right now. So obviously we are driving by the Cygnus Core of Project Moon right now. It's going to be pretty empty, but you're going to soon start seeing the edges of this beautiful bastard of a city. Oh man. It's unfortunately a little dull at nighttime, but during the day, this city is gorgeous. And we're going to go ahead and continue over here just a little bit. God. The UTC killed it, man. George Man too, but honestly, I have to thank everybody who ever worked on Project Moon, because this would not have been possible without their help. But if we can just slowly drive our way over here to our final island. It's a very, very small one. I literally built it on an island that was probably originally like 10, 12 blocks that I just expanded underwater and then also just built around. Very, very, very small, but for the most part, it's just a little outpost for the people that would, shorten the commute from all the way up here to Luna Bay. It's a little, like a little tight quarters for them to live in. It's not super comfortable, but, they're doing this for science. They even got a little fireplace. And, that's kind of it. So, that is, for the most part, all of Luna Bay. Obviously, there are plans for the Artemis ruins, which I don't think you guys have seen, but there isn't really much there. Just a lot of stuff I laid down a long time ago, some terraforming work. I'll let you guys know in season 5 once, that's gotten a bit more to it. But right now, because I don't want to swim halfway across the server, we are going to go ahead and teleport all the way down to this location, which is going to be the Western Waters Winery, which is not part of Luna Bay, but is a beautiful, beautiful start at an island that represents both a winery, a distribution center, and a couple of fields of vineyards. So it's very start early right now. A lot of work has gone into terraforming. Like, I'm talking like Hub Island 2019, the big island and the archipelago levels of terraforming. So I'm going to go ahead and jump up here, and you're going to be able to just see how much work I already put into this. So this is kind of the starting road. This is kind of like the visitors. These are the visitors' docks. And visitors can follow up the road, and they're going to be able to come up here. And this is going to be the welcome center and the visitor center, for tasting or whatever. These, normally you won't enter from over here, but these are supposed to be vine fields. Unfortunately, Minecraft doesn't really have any vines, or not vines, grapevines. So the tall flowers I thought was the best look I could get. Plus, I mean, they just look beautiful. So kind of going from here, obviously this is going to be the visitor center for tasting and, a bunch of just like upscale living, whatnot. This is going to be my little cabin, and I'm going to have my own little boathouse over here. I might take the design from Northport just because I feel like it fits super well. This is going to be the main factory right here. If I can pull up the map. This is going to be the main factory right here. This is going to be kind of like the the cellar, and I'm thinking about having an underground tube going out to a bunch of docks that will allow for transport over here, which is going to be the distribution center. These couple of islands, I'll probably turn into just more vine field, or I might just leave them alone. I don't know yet. There's going to be employee docks back here, a boathouse, and I'll probably build a road network up all the way up to here. I don't totally know what I'm going to do over here. Obviously, a lot of this terraforming is still, like, the edge terraforming's got to get a bunch of love. That's getting really fucking annoying. This very, very beautiful wall that I've put a fair amount of love into originally was just going to be to cover the vine fields, but I might do the entire island in it just because of how beautiful it looks. And obviously what I was saying is a lot of this edge terraforming isn't quite there. I spent so much time getting the overall verticality and shape right, which you can kind of see a lot of love. Like this was an entirely like empty region. This entire area I basically filled in. There was a giant gulf here that I got rid of, and I've done a lot of work into making this island look as good as it does. I think all that archipelago work really came into play, and just this field. I mean, come on, it looks beautiful. We're gonna have my little place right here, and I'm gonna be trying to move away from the Neighbor Luna aesthetic completely. Even the Eastport, Northport, I'm literally gonna be trying to go for more of a like log cabin. If anyone's ever seen a Great Wolf Lodge, that's literally the architecture I'm going to try to go for this place. So it's a very, like, specific look that is more... I don't know how to describe it, but it's very specific look, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Just to kind of tour through what I've been up to for the last little while. I'm so excited for Season 5. So good to be back in the swing of things. And Project Moon is done. We're going to be having the grand opening on the 7th. I'm so excited. But unfortunately, guys, that's going to be it for this video. And the last formal episode for Season 4. So maybe I should go ahead and get some of the announcements out of the way. Obviously, again, the end of Season 4 is going to be a live stream. I don't know how long. It's going to be very... unplanned, just kind of a let's go chill stream. I might even bring people in if they want to hang out, but it's just gonna be kind of a fun day, you know. January 7th, mark your calendar. Obviously, a huge thanks to everybody who's helped out with Project Moon, getting it this far, getting it done. This is my current project right here. After these, I'm probably gonna move on to Sutton's Bay, which is this lovely little island way over here, which is probably going to be taking a lot of aesthetic cues from this island, as well as Northport and Eastport. I haven't totally decided yet, but I'm going to try and take some of the inspiration of the techniques I've learned from here and there. And there are a lot of other projects in the windmill. Some I'm planning for Project Moon. Some things I'm going to design, then hopefully hand off to other people to work on while I'm doing the more... design requirement projects on my list, but I don't know. It's a lot to come, a lot planned. I'm super excited for what my future on the server holds. I can guarantee that getting Project Moon done is like the biggest weight off my chest, and I don't want to be the guy who comes up with a bunch of projects and then just doesn't work on them, doesn't finish them. So I'm trying to make all these projects very manageable, because I have all these things I want to do that I've probably wanted to do for years, just stowed away in the back of my mind. And now I finally have that opportunity. So 2023 is going to be a mean year for building. I think a reason I really slowed down on Project Moon these last couple of years was just because the building was so... Not only was it so tedious, but it was just so much work and so uncreative in terms of getting it done. And so I think I kind of forgot just how much I like to build. Now, I mean, look at this. I've done this in, this entire island is probably about 3 days of work. And I'm only excited to just keep going on it and start pushing together. This year, there's going to be so much goddamn building. It's going to be building and exploring like the good old days before we were dragged down by the houses of Project Moon. But they are done. That project is far behind me. and it has become one of the most iconic builds on the server, at least in recent history. Some people would argue of all time, but there's a lot of good builds out there, so I'm not totally certain myself. Anyway, guys, this is going to be it. It's been a wonderful year, wonderful season, wonderful 2 years, actually, but I hope to see you all very soon as we pull back the veil and move to Season 5. The season that could quite possibly never end. We'll see. Anyway, I'll see you later. Hubusky!